All right, hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name's Bergen, and today we are back for another trading stream. Now, I have been busy last few days. Okay, so I missed Saturday. I do apologize for that, but we are obviously back. So I've not only been busy away from the streams, but I've been busy away from the charts. So you can probably imagine my my dismay when I've come back to the charts, and and it's been doing what it's doing. So that's nice. But what I will say, I've year in review, you know, week in review, and it's not that bad. All right. Now I know what we've been saying over the past few streams, okay, and it's not that bad. All right, it's not that bad. We're 2 for 2. All right, that's what I'll say. We're 2 for 2. Oh, this makes me cry. But nonetheless, hopefully you guys have had a swell evening or a swell morning. Obviously, sometimes people drive to work. I do think that's in the morning, obviously, in the time zones and whatnot, unless you're in Australia or whatever. It might be the morning for you, I'm not sure. But regardless, good evening to you all. Good morning to you all, if you will. I am back, and I'm you know, I'm not mad. I'm not mad, you know, because some things I'm happy with. So what we left off with, we'll obviously go through the charts in a bit, in like 2 minutes. I did start a timer, so don't worry. I have started a timer. I will stick to it. And I saw there was a really nasty poll, all right, from Mike, which said, "Is Oracle going to finish on time? No or no?" All right, and you know what? I felt that in my chest. I felt my chest tightening. I thought, wow, damn, I really am bad at this. I'm really bad. So today we're going to stick to it. I promise you that. I'm going to try my hardest. If we are in the middle of a conversation or me talking, and it's an hour left, I'm going to cut it off. I'm saying I'm going to leave that to you on the next stream, and I will promise you I will keep it to an hour. But it doesn't help if I'm talking a bunch about not the stream for an hour. What was I going to say? Hold on. I've just lost my train of thought because I thought about the poll. What we left off with, that's what it was. Obviously, we can get to the charts, but what my sentiment was, I wasn't happy on Bitcoin. Solana, meh. Solana. Obviously, Syrup, we had that move upwards, and we had that support, well, that resistance even, and that's probably where we were. And for Ethereum, I was saying I'm not seeing the likelihood chance. I'm just really not seeing us find resistance. And my general, because you got footnotes. Is there a header? I suppose my head notes, my cap notes. Before we get into the stream, is I should have just listened to my charts, because I'm not gonna lie and say I haven't been very biased in the past streams on being negative. I've been a very negative Nancy the past few streams, but we will obviously do it all in we'll do it in review. So we all cry. It's not done that badly though. I mean, I think from what I have right now in terms of what I left off with last stream, the two things which have been right or relatively you know, okay of what I've been saying has been Syrup and Ethereum. But if you consider, obviously Syrup has come a far way down, but I'm just considering what I've said in the past stream, you know, pretty much only, and it's not been that bad. Obviously Bitcoin, arguable, Solana, arguable, but relatively, you know, if we go on to the hard time frames, it looks pretty good. So whatever, I'm gonna look at the percentages now. So 119.4, wow. I didn't think I'd be saying this right now, but not bad. 5% on the 7-day. Ethereum 25% 7-day. It has not stopped. Pretty nice. 4,486. Wow. That is whoa. Woof. I mean, again, I know I did leave off with I think it was just about just about getting towards 4,000 when we were talking about it last stream. I've been saying, because my main thing on last stream was I'm looking at the Ethereum chart and I really don't see us really respecting this resistance, and I would be very unsurprised if the next stream I'm on, Ethereum is above it's like kind of high. On the chart we had above the high. So I got that right. Yeah, we can take. I'll take the wins. You know, I'll take what I can. You know what I mean? Solana 188, brilliant. 15% 7-day. It's basically been 7 days realistically. I mean, like it was Thursday. Last stream was Thursday, so it's basically been about 7 days. So these are fresh numbers. Not for me. Obviously, you guys, if you've been watching the chart, you will have seen this happen. But in terms of for the streams, anyway, it's fresh numbers. So 15% 7-day, 5% 24-hour, 1% 1 hour. So pretty good. And again, I think it's like it's what I said last stream as well. It's like depends how you look at the chart. Realistically, it's like you know, if you're on the 1 hour and you're like really just focusing on the 1 hour and whatnot, and you're just like just the only chart you look at, you're on the 1 hour 15 minute, it's gonna look like absolute hell is unloaded onto the market, and the ground is just been ripped open and everything's just happening. But I think it's not that bad to look at on the high time frame. So we'll majoritively look at the high time frames for I think today's stream and see what our situation is and whatnot. I'll quickly look at 24-hour up and down, I guess, because I just want to see what's going on. I don't really care about like this though. I mean, I don't know why I bother doing this because I never care. I'm just thankful that Pi is still in the losers corner of the 24-hour. So that is made me a bit happier at least. Pi and Fartcoin, it's a good day when you know Pi and Fartcoin are going down 24-hour. That's a good day. But anyway, I think I'll just I'll go onto the charts. It feels like show and tell, and like I've brought in like a glove, and I literally forgot to do it. I forgot to bring in something actually meaningful, so I've brought a rubber glove, and I've now got to spend my time talking about this rubber glove when I know it's just a rubber glove, and it's like, why the hell am I even talking about this? Well, this is pathetic. So let's go to the charts. Okay, the reason I have Ethereum up, okay, because I feel like I need to ease myself in slowly to this absolutely the dismay of the charts. You know what? I'll make another excuse. Let me read the chat. I haven't read the chat yet. Let me read the chat first. So, as always, Kishan was top in the chat. Good evening to you, Kishan. Thank you for being here. BB as well. I will go into syrup. Don't you worry. I'm going to cover syrup today. Syrup's not bad. I think out of what I've said, again, I've already said, in terms of my leave-offs withs, if you will, of last stream was, I think the best ones are syrup and definitely syrup and Ethereum. So, not bad there. So, we will look at syrup later on in the stream. KB's here, even to you. Hidden Agendas. Mike is also here. I don't know how long Mike is here for, but he's here. Good evening. What? No, not good evening. Tariq is here. Good evening to you, well, Tariq. Thank you for being here. Danny. You know what? So there's quite a few people here, and some names. New names to my stream. I know Beast specifically. I think I've seen your name, Tawfiq. I'm pretty sure you've seen your name. So thank you for being here as well. Thank you both of you for joining. Let me read the rest of this. Never overly bullish. Yeah. Just gotta make more. So it was a good blow in November. We'll see. I'm going to it. Hope alt can go high before September. I mean, obviously we've talked about the flow and whatnot, but I mean, if the flow is still bouncing around and it's gone back into Bitcoin, it might go back into to alts, if you will, and I could definitely see that. But I've read through what I can today. Kishan, thank you very much. I really appreciate that, Kishan. You're not voting today. I appreciate that. I appreciate your confidence in my in not saying no against me sticking to an hour. Although it's 7 minutes into the stream, I haven't actually said a single word about the charts. So obviously we will see. Now I thought I would ease myself in slowly with Ethereum chart. I just really didn't want to look at the Bitcoin chart because it's been a couple of days. I've been doing other things, and I just haven't really been kind of locked in on the charts yet. I mean, I've bounced my focus onto external things. I thought, you know what? I haven't looked at the charts, and I've had a quick glance at Bitcoin, and it just it didn't feel happy inside. But it's okay. We're gonna get there eventually. I will not do Ethereum first. I always do Bitcoin first. I can't not do Bitcoin. So I'm gonna open Bitcoin. So here we are. Okay. So let's go through this. All right. So, and this is why I said my head notes were I should have just stuck to my charts. You know what I mean? I should have just stuck. I don't know why. And hindsight is a beautiful thing. I should have just stuck to what I actually have on my screen. You know what I mean? I was like, oh well, guys, we're gonna come down. No. No. So basically on the weekly. I mean, it's easier to see on the daily, to be fair, because of what we can actually see a bit more detail. This is what we've been talking about. Obviously, we had these many gaps on the 4 hour and whatnot, over here. We've been talking about that. I'm not going to go over them again. But the general consensus on the higher time frame for Bitcoin, anyway, and I've been showing on my streams, has been this from the latest low of this move. Obviously, we could do it down here and down here, but it's like, you know what I mean? It's the latest low before this move upwards, and then obviously the high. That was what we had drawn. That's what we had since this formed, and obviously the low we had since it formed was basically completing this whole gap with this blue line at 112.090, which we hit. Obviously, we hit 112 exactly, but it was within this range, which is pretty nice. And then we've come up, and this is a retracement. And the idea of this is, you look at the retracement and you watch for the retracement, and the idea is you basically just follow a trend. And in my idiocracy has not been following the trend. The trend is this, you know what I mean? Obviously, probably easier to look at a daily here, to be fair. But do you know what I mean? It's like if we look at it from the whole kind of period, if you will, from major, I would say major being this area of these lows. So, and obviously, even if you consider 107, it's like it was foolish to kind of think about the idea of us coming past all of this towards 109 without even seeing a bit of support. And once we see this low and then coming upwards, it's like, okay, well, in theory, regardless of what I'm trying to watch for a reversal or not, it's a retracement to then aim for new highs. So, do you know what I mean? That's the basis point of this was to see a new low, a new higher low into this area to then come back upwards. And obviously, we've now seen these massive highs, which has been beautiful. And I haven't actually gone to far yet on Bitcoin in 1 hour. I've only really looked at the daily and the weekly, so I will be seeing it fresh eyes in terms of actual TA. I did see some new chat there. Of course, you give a good relationship with the Oracle. I mean, if he wants 3 points tomorrow, if he wants 3 points on tomorrow's stream, and he wants to get top place and win, and I give it him, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's just what you have to do in a day. Like, okay, yes, I pretend that I'm some righteous person, and I never give people's points, and I haven't given people points just yet on the quiz. But I'm more than happy to cheat, to outright cheat, and give Kishan 40 out of 30 points. You know what I mean? So, do you know what I mean? Like, I'll cheat. I don't care. If Kishan's nice to me, I'll cheat. I'll give him all the points. I'll give him the money. You know what I mean? Anyway, to the charts. Actually, I had one more thing I just completely ignored. It's fine. It's not easy to focus on the charts and chat at once. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I kind of bounce back and forward. Sometimes I forget. Obviously, if you've been here for a few streams, you'll probably see me at least completely disregard the chat. I've obviously made the joke before that I treat you guys like a runt child in the attic, and we don't want to see you in the family, or like a little runty dog, and I don't talk to you until 40 minutes later, and you're still there. Oh, I forgot to feed you, I'm sorry. And then actually talk to you. So yeah, I do bounce back and forth. Sometimes I just forget, and I'm just yabbering. But anyway, chart. So I do want to go to the 4 hour. I haven't actually looked at the 4 hour yet. I haven't looked at what we're doing, but so from what I can see anyway on daily, this was just what it has. I obviously don't know why I was so negative in this, because at the end of the day, the whole point of this movement is the fact that we have this massive move. And I think I'm just still stuck on this, to be fair. But anyways, go back to the daily. The whole point of this move, anyway, just to look at it on the daily, is I've just said this. I know I'm going to move on to the 4 hour in a second. The whole point of this is to retrace into a generally optimum area and then continue upwards in the trend. And if we really just look at it, obviously we had this little thing, but we've printed past these highs. We're in this move upwards, and now we've had a retracement. Like, there's no, it's like it's this. Do you know what I mean? Like, why would I say anything otherwise? So there you go. That's what, you know, that's that. But anyway, let's look at the 4 hour. So a beautiful reversal. I will not lie, a beautiful reversal. What I will say about this. I talked about this. No, I didn't. Hold on. Wait, where was? So Tuesday, Wednesday. So that's today, Saturday, Thursday. Oh, why did I not talk? I talked about this, right? Surely. What was I talking about? Okay, I was talking about this. Okay, yeah. I'm. You know what? Deleting that. I'm not looking at that. That was like, that is not related to what we're doing right now. But this was really nice. I'm gonna look at it again, because clearly the first time I looked at it was not very good. I'll just say that. So obviously moved down, and then we had in between these a little gap here. It's the same thing as this. I mean, the reason I saw it was obviously there's this big move, and I have said before on other streams in terms of chart patterns. I don't like chart patterns, but if I was to agree with one in any regard, it would be head and shoulders. On the basis that, in my opinion, I can see why it would work for a chart. Because there's certain ones I'm not going to do this, because again I'm trying to stick to my 1 hour regime here, and I promise you that I'm going to stick to the 1 hour here. But sticking to in terms of the idea of head and shoulders versus anything else, if I draw one from this scenario, obviously I know it goes. I don't really think that the left shoulder matters or anything, if you know what I mean, in terms of this being the move down, the second last low, and then the actual low, and then we print past this. This is when we start to look for this next point. And I don't know what this. I don't know about this. I'm not sure about that part of the head and shoulders. Again, that might be a me thing. I don't really know about that personally, but what I will agree with this move in terms of if we're in this massive move down, obviously moving past this area, if we are in this move downwards, in terms, I will agree with the idea of this internal. If we go to like 1 hour, for example, we can see it a bit better in terms of the idea that we have the highs here, we actually print, and we actually start to do a move upwards. So again, on the idea that if you're on the 1 hour only, it's going to look ridiculous. But obviously, if we go to a bit of a higher time frame, or not a higher time frame, but a bit higher, like the 4 hour, it looks a bit better. But in terms of the idea of having this lower, this is a trend on the way downwards. If you look at the 1 hour, for example, but regardless of what time frame you're looking at, you can still see we are printing above this to then produce a new high in this move and then a new low. But the idea, I will concede on the agreement of the idea that the process of this move, which allows us to come past this high on this lower trend, and obviously also kind of stacking the idea that we've come to a higher time frame point of interest, and then using that, and then expanding away from it. So you can see this, for example, expanding away from it. The likelihood chance, again, going back to the head and shoulders, where it's like this right shoulder part is where I agree with the most in terms of for me to actually look at it, in my opinion anyway, would be looking at this expansion away from the low and then producing a new low. It's just us coming into this gap here and then obviously producing an uptrend. So in terms of it being a reversal, I do agree with it. But anyway, that's old TA. I'm not even going to talk about that. I could have talked about that on Tuesday, but I didn't, or Thursday even. So anyway, let's go back. So uptrend, massive move, massive move, and then obviously we've come to here. Now, what I would look at, obviously we have these highs. Yes, I mean, I will completely agree with this. I mean, it's like, okay, cool, we've had a reversal. We're going to be looking for internal. Obviously, we'll see resistance at these points, which again was what I was banking too heavy on. But in terms of finding a reversal and coming back upwards into an uptrend, on the 4 hour in this case anyway, a bit higher than the 1 hour. It's then, okay, cool, well, if you're looking for new highs or highs in general, it's obviously taking these highs, but also finding previous points behind us to find a resistance point out, whether that be in this expansion downwards or, consistent highs on the way backwards. So it's kind of just aiming for this whole area. And what we did was actually the entire thing, basically, in this one candle especially. I'm just kind of drawing all this. I obviously, so on and so forth, we have multiple highs, but we had all this, cascading downwards in this whole move down, which we then have moved above and now had not a massive move away from, but obviously, moved. If we compare all these other moves, a bit of an expansion away. But not really like a concerning expansion. I do want to go to the 1 hour on this local area. I'm just kind of, in retrospect, talking about what we've done so far, in my opinion. Anyway, obviously, so this is why I say in my opinion, because things like this can happen. But another thing I was going to argue was looking at the move upwards, this massive move upwards, coming above this whole area, and then having this massive move back downwards, which moves past these candles. So looking at the last high candle before this move downwards, just to see some sort of resistance, and we can also see this actually expansion of this proportion candle as well from it. But regardless, basically just looking at this candle with this move downwards, and if we cascade this along, or move this along if you will, not really cascade, but is what I wanted to look at here in terms of finding longer term resistance. And I think I did talk about this. Have I talked about this? I don't think I talked about this actually, to be fair. But I should have talked about this, to be fair, in my in hindsight. But looking at each last candle before the down close, just really looking at this. Obviously we did have this. Obviously we did actually print above it, but we still used this higher one as resistance. But just showing an example that we kind of use this cascading downwards, especially here. This candle was really good as well, because obviously we had the one candle, but even this is kind of optimum where we have this actually comes to the midpoint here and then printing down, and same thing here, we have this midpoint, but generally just forming resistance on the way downwards. But what I wanted to use this for was over here. I just wanted to look at this as well as another potential for we've come a bit higher, and if we go to the daily here, you can't see the candles, but you can see the general. Obviously we kind of used all these on the way downwards, and then we've come back up into finding resistance here, and obviously we've come down in this move here. So just kind of looking at the general resistance point of what also could have been the area we saw resistance at. So in terms of uptrend, good news for this whole thing, even for a general expansion. Not so much on that, you can't really see it on the daily, because like this is, obviously there's all these highs, individual highs, but really just looking at this whole move here and this expansion, Really I think on the daily anyway. Again, the 4 hour we've already been printing above this, and 4 hours is still a good time frame in my opinion. Still a good time frame to watch for larger trend, kind of something to give. Because if you're going to like the 1 hour 30 minute, or 15 minute, whatever, you're going to want to understand what's going on the higher time frame to really focus on how you're moving. You know what I mean? So I think 4 hours is still good for that. 4 hour daily is good for that. So I would also say 4 hour. We've definitely had that print above the highs, massive highs here, and now retraced. And the concerning low for this whole move, in my opinion, would be about 106.2. So we're still quite high up above that before we start to see downtrend. Until if we go to 4 hour and see, okay, well, we've had this move downwards. We have these lows here. If we move back upwards and come down again, we could start that. We could be starting that thing. And the same thing we had on the higher time frame down here on the idea of a reversal, if you will. And I'm not saying we're reversing here. I'm not determining my exact words right now. I'm still talking about the charts. I do want to go to the 1 hour, but just to compare ideas in terms of finding higher time frame point of interest, expanding, retracing to do, in this case, obviously a higher low to start the uptrend. If we compare that over here, it's still same time frame, to be fair, but in terms of the price action and history of it, definitely larger. This is multiple candles, and it's taken multiple candles, and it's a longer time period to come into this area and come into an effect. Same kind of idea here, but I mean, in this case, to be fair though, what I will say, which is obviously why I'm not taking my full, it's not my full opinion right now, I'm still talking about the charts, is the idea that obviously we haven't really done we don't have a gap or anything like that. We kind of just this was our gap, you know what I mean? Like this isn't really a gap or anything like that. These candles aren't really going to be much of a resistance, I don't think anyway, to be fair. But still kind of watching on the idea of, okay, how long we're going to go up for, where could we stop at, and what would have to happen for us to start to reverse. So just kind of focusing on that. But I think that's all I really have on the 4 hour anyway. I'm going to jump to the 1 hour now because I've kind of given my general what I can see generally on the 4 hour. We're clearly in this move upwards. We've had these periods of expansion and retracement into these areas, which is obviously normal. Again, having these gaps and retracing back up into them, and forming these gaps and retracing and continuing upwards. We haven't come into this one, but obviously an outlying gap nonetheless. But the general, anyway, just marking out a normal trend upwards. But out of everything, and this is why I'm not saying we're seeing the high now, because the theory of this is we find the retracement and then we aim for the highs. So I'm not saying we can't. I'm not saying that I don't think we'll see the highs, but in terms of nothing can ever go up forever. In terms of we will always go up above highs. We will always find newer lows, because otherwise, when are we going to start to see a downtrend? You know what I mean? So, and this is the thing. This is why I really want to focus on the daily, not only on the 4 hour. Even though the 4 hour is printing above these highs, I want to see it on the daily, as daily is really where you can clearly see there's a main focus. On the 4 hour, yes, we can see this main kind of trend and idea already on the 4 hour, but it's kind of more so much on the daily formed in terms of, okay, these are more structured in terms of this is where the actual gap was, which we looked at on the higher time frame. This is where the low was. This has been our uptrend. You can really see these expansion retracements really, really easily. So for me to focus on this would be coming past this 109.8 longer, like daily print longer term in this area. Obviously precursors on the 4 hour continue to move upwards. We will do so. But, just focus on the idea of where the reversal could be on the daily. But anyway, I will jump to the 1 hour now, because I want to see what we're doing currently. So this is a bit like choppy consolidation, that we had this move downwards on these candles. I know obviously this was our low and this was the high technically, but in terms of actual candle bodies, which is I draw them from anyway, we can see we had that move. And then we have moved upwards to find resistance. So what it looks like to me is we had a gargantuan trend upwards, found resistance on a higher time frame. And again, this is why I wanted to mark it on the 4 hour and just go, because sometimes I go for the 1 hour and then look at the daily as a little update. This is why today I want to go on the daily, because we have these. We're in not a new area. Again, we've had price action at 122k, but in terms of seeing it lately, this is definitely newer price action. So I did want to go to the higher time frames first to see if we had that historical reasoning for highs and lows on the larger time frames, and we do have that obviously with this general resistance point we've had in this area, and obviously we had all these highs before anyway. So really clear uptrend, really strong, especially this expansion anyway, and then obviously higher time frame resistance, which really kind of pulls us down, because again, this is strong stuff here, but it still continued to allow us to move downwards. And in any case, and this is why, regardless of what time frame I'm looking on, I because yes, okay, I could just draw this thing where it's like, oh well, we're gonna see this support here at 119, and we're gonna oh well, look, if you look at this gap, it's like, okay, cool, well, I think we're gonna come to 119.314 and then go back upwards. But on the higher time frame, we found resistance. So same idea with this, even though this is cascade, this is kind of same thing. We find the support, and we have reason for the support. But in terms of a reversal scenario, it's like, again, on the idea of nothing can ever go up forever. Like, yes, okay, in some of these periods behind us, we have these periods of coming upwards and then finding the equilibrium and doing the same thing up here. There we go. Of coming up into these areas, coming down into them, and then coming past the high, and this whole trend basically. But then obviously we finally find, instead this whole area coming up, yes, did have these highs behind us, but the general wider trend for me was, taking all the highs to then find resistance. Actual midpoint for this was obviously 121.894 in this general area, and then once we get into basically towards 120.5 above is when I was like, okay, cool, well, this is the general area for this higher time frame resistance. And in this case was this like kind of last high. But we haven't necessarily, and this is the thing, I'm saying this in a negative manner, but we haven't necessarily done a massive low or come past this 118k area. But what I will say is, regardless, is we've definitely had a decent expansion downwards, and you can see we've had these retracements expansion, and you can see the difference between obviously the expansion and retracements being these candles, and then this retracement, and then obviously this is not really much of a retracement, but it's definitely from the larger general moves, this being the move, is very expansionary versus the move upwards. So clearly a bit more of a downtrend here. It depends on where you consider the actual major low being, where, yes, we didn't quite hit it down here, so even on the lower time frames, we were not really printed below them, but what I will say is obviously we slowed down here clearly, had this manipulation downwards, and then started moving back upwards, and then clearly on the lower time frame even as well in this uptrend. So what I'm going to now actually talk about, finally, after 30 minutes, something current on Bitcoin is what I will finally talk about. So we have used this on the midpoint here. So looking at, I would probably do this 15 minutes. It's like kind of interpoint. This is the high. Hold on a second. There we go. High to the low here. There we go. So this is obviously high to low. In this case, it would be drawing from this gap. Just focusing on this area. Obviously coming into it here, seeing the print there. And then finding resistance there. So we have kind of already used that gap, if you will. I mean, I'm not saying this has happened so many times where we've multitudinally, I don't think that's a word, but we've used it multiple times, mainly really focusing on not so much the gap itself, but really just looking at the highs and just general area. So if we are continuing this, which obviously we've started to do now, not saying we guaranteed will do it, but we've started this move anyway. What I do want to look for actually is support points in this trend upwards, to kind of give the idea that we're still going upwards. Well, we have this candle, is what I will say, in this kind of trend upwards. There we go. Perfect. There we go. So it's kind of this. It's not really. It's very good on this because it's obviously just joined on the 1 hour. But we have this candle which kind of comes down, but the candle body anyway comes up, prints above it, and kind of has this. It comes above the candle further. I'm explaining it horribly, but you know what I mean in terms of this being okay. Cool. We've come downwards, and this is on the 1 hour. It's a bit more obfuscated, but printed downwards, and then had a massive move back upwards, which is completely taken out as candle. So should realistically be support, which obviously we've now seen on the 50 minutes with this low here as well. And what I can say about this so far, we printed above this. I'm not, this isn't really much of a downtrend. I'm not saying we've started a downtrend, but in terms of this just looks like a inter move to do a new low for this move. So I still think this is moving upwards. So I have no reason to say we're not doing that. So go back to the 1 hour, taking that idea, I think we're continuing upwards, coming past 122. So where would be the stopping point for me? Well, we've already seen this area be used with this high and then come back down to find support and then come back upwards. It would be aiming back up towards these areas again. This would be back up into the area of the higher time frame resistance again. But I think the general idea, we haven't done, like if we go back to the 4 hour, we haven't really done a massive print below anything of significance. I think the significant major low, I would say, for this whole move upwards definitely is going to be, again, we've had a really big move upwards and then slow retracements. I think this, just to kind of really look at it in terms of general, like, wider moves, it's definitely from here to here, like this move and then this move and then this move. Like, it's obviously this is very small, but the major lows are definitely going to be 112.6 and then for me 116.364-ish. So we're nowhere near that. This is just a retracement. And if we go on the idea that we have we're in an uptrend, which we clearly are, and we go to retracement points, we can see, okay, we're in the general area of where a retracement should be. So if we go to the 1 hour and see what do we have which is causing us to find support. Well, obviously we had some lows which we obviously kind of slightly wick past here with these kind of equal lows. What I will also look at is some of these, this candle here could potentially be support, but I mean, there's not really much gaps. What I will say, actually, to be fair, is probably this candle is what I would be interested in, because of the fact that we formed with these two candles and then came down, and then obviously the last candle down close before the move upwards, we engulf with this candle. So what I will say is this candle is probably what I would focus on as a bit of a support point per se. So coming into this general area and watching for what could be support. We also have a propulsion block from this area. We can see we come upwards, we come downwards, and then we engulf again. So this also should be support a bit higher up. And what we can see from there, if we now just delete this just to make it a bit easier for ourselves, this general area is where support should be on a reason, to try and reason with why this area should be optimum. We have this area, we've already come back up into it. To be fair, this is also now going to be support. Again, I mean, the higher you go, I think the higher you go, the less they have. Like they're not like super strong. It's not like this like magical like stone thing. Which, oh yeah, look, as we go up, we're constantly going to see support. Because again, that doesn't make sense. Because if we constantly form support on the way upwards and it never broke because they're so strong, the price would never go down. Or on the opposite case, if we formed the same thing with the each of these engulfing candles going back up, going back down, or in my example anyway, coming back up into this resistance. We would never like if each and every one of these retracements is going to be a support resistance point in this case, we would never have price go back upwards. So it's not like they're permanent supports or in this case supports anyway. But really just focusing on what I will do actually. I'm going to lock this and hide it so we can see it a bit better. So I just kind of want to draw this as well so we can see it. There we go. So the bottom of this wick, again, we also wicked past this low, but we wicked nearly to like the outer rim of this general area. I know this is very sloppy words to be saying. I'm just spewing crap, but I didn't mean to do that. There we go. But we can see, as an example anyway, of us kind of trying to use it at the top here, coming down to this midpoint area, and then we've had this move upwards. Arguably, I mean, this last candle before this move, obviously last candle move upwards, it wasn't really an instant kind of move upwards, but arguably could be support down here as well. Also, technically trying to hold the basis that we're back in an uptrend, and we should start to see us continue upwards, especially on the 4 hour, because again, like I've said, my personal opinion anyway, the major low here is 116.360. We haven't come anywhere near that. We've come to retracement levels of this general move upwards we've had. So what I will say is, unless we have something like some sort of resistance here, which on the wider time frame, on the 4 hour anyway, again, yes, on the 1 hour we do see resistance here. On the 4 hour isn't a major resistance point. I would expect our price to continue back upwards to see what we can do back up and towards these highs. I think, because again, the difference between this reversal and the reversal we were talking about back, where am I? Here it is. The reversal we're talking about back here is the fact that this this gap is totally different from the one we looked at back here, because of the way the candles. I don't know if I'm like puffing into the microphone here, but the way these candles print. If you look at this, like this, the candles which form this expansion upwards and this gap, which obviously we retraced back up into, and then obviously or down into, and then obviously moved upwards. We can see. There we go. If we now use that idea back to where we are, this is totally different. So what we have here, instead of this being a massive expansion downwards and then we find resistance, realistically is a kind of sloppily used expansion we had on the way upwards, used on the way downwards, and we've engulfed it. And now we've obviously, in this case, the optimum range wasn't in this area, but again, it is below equilibrium. So I would still be watching 418.8 to be some sort of support point, but the optimum range was this area. So I'm not concerned this being major resistance. This is just a normal retracement back. Same thing we were talking about back here, which I obviously misinterpreted back, when we were at whatever it was back here. I obviously misinterpreted this as that major dump downwards. But realistically, again, this is me not taking that hard time frame bias. All it is on the daily is that retracement, as we've just kind of looked at here, where we've had that retracement and, we've come down into that optimum area, which, we've had for a while now. So that's all it realistically is. So what I will say, and I will leave off with on Bitcoin before I move on now with to Ethereum and Solana and whatnot, is that I do believe this is just a normal, I don't know why that's there. This is just normal price action. Obviously, we're still forming support on the way upwards. We're still doing our thing. And again, this is also actually the same thing. Again, we're still following this idea. Down candle, up, close. Down candle, up, close. This is another block upwards, if you will. Obviously, I know these words are all magical, but same thing here. We're on this way upwards. We have this move down, and then we have this move down, midpoint, move down, and now we're moving upwards. This last one also could be support on the way upwards. So we're forming these lows. We're forming the support on the way upwards as we continue. So I think we're just continuing upwards for Bitcoin. Obviously on the 1 hour, yes, we are getting to this support, this resistance area. But if we really just take it out a bit, take it on a bit of a more of a macro view, we realistically don't have that much resistance. Yes, we do have these like smaller intertrend highs, but the process of this move wasn't to focus on this down move for the 121. It was to focus on where our low would be to then, in theory, aim for these highs. So same thing we had here, where the focus is, and this is obviously my mistake, the focus isn't on this down move. The focus is on the new low before we aim for the new highs. So that's why I think so far, ceteris paribus, we should be continuing upwards. That's my opinion. I'm going to look at the chat before I move back onto Ethereum. I need some water actually on this. You got some chat, some chat boxes over here. I'm trying to find the high. I know I'm not saying anything. I'm trying to find the last comment I looked at before I went into the chart. I know it's been 40 minutes ish, 35 minutes ish, but I think I've hit the top now. Okay. Still coming down before October. Okay. I'm happy with the market. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, these are good prices. If you're someone, I mean, this is the thing. It's like there's always going to be someone who's happy, and there's always going to be someone who isn't happy, and that's just that's the market. That's just not great. That's not even crypto at the end of the day. That's everything at the end of the day in terms of if there's a market to be traded, someone's going to be happy, someone isn't going to be happy. Whether that be on the 15-minute you're long and shorting, to be able to long, someone's going to have to be unhappy. You're going to end up happy, and someone else is going to end up unhappy, or you'll end up unhappy and someone else is happy. So, you know what I mean? Yeah, this move up is a rebalance until proven otherwise. Yeah, a rebalance. Yeah, so in terms of rebalancing the move downwards to reach this, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think it depends on if you're talking about the general trend. I think the down was definitely the rebalance of that previous pump we had. I think for me, this is just us continuing this move. We haven't hit a concerning value, and even if you consider 118 as the concerning value of this move upwards on the 1 hour, we still haven't printed past that. So I'm not fully concerned even of this being a down move in terms of we're rebalancing some of these expansions before we move lower. But I think you were talking about the why the trend moves, so it doesn't matter what I'm talking about. So yeah, but yeah, I agree. I'd rather come down from 130k to 104 than from 116 to 90. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I think my major blinding bias was that I still had that 90k, and I talked about that 90k. I was like, I really hope we come to 90k. That'd be so beautiful. It was like 86k, 90k, and that was like, I don't know, that was ages ago. That was a long time ago we talked about that. So, you know, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's like, you know, you can't really permanently hold a short on a coin, but you can hold Bitcoin. So I think in everyone's general interest, it's Bitcoin going upwards. I just think it's like, are we looking at it going up or down just based on the factor that if you're trading it within the moving? Obviously, yes, if you want to buy more Bitcoin, that is obviously very important for the price to go back down to buy it. But at the end of the day, it's like if you want an actual outcome for Bitcoin, I'm always going to be on the latter end of the positive. You know what I mean? So it's like, yes, I will completely agree. 130 to go to 104, but you know, I do like being right, is what I will say. Only fair play in the quiz. You're too righteous, Kishan. If I was in your position and I could, you know, and I would just be nice to someone and, you know, have an edge on someone else, I would totally take it. You're better man than me, Kishan. Totally fun either way. Yeah, I'm writing 10 of the questions for the quiz tomorrow. So the last 10, all I can promise is the last 10 will be new questions or in a new format. What I want to try, I've got a new idea for the quiz. I want to try a Jeopardy type question. Now, it's not going to be, I take, you know, I don't know, I take history for 400 type of thing. It's going to be our normal questions, but the question is going to be an answer, and the answers are going to be questions. Very simple. It's not going to be like, you know, super long questions. It's going to be like, what is this? What is that? But, you know, Jeopardy, like oh, what is Monitor? Or what is Bitcoin? That sort of thing. So I do want to try that on the last 10 questions. I think that'll be pretty fun. And if it goes well, and it is really fun, I want to try and kind of reiterate on the quiz and have a Jeopardy mode where we can actually just write Jeopardy questions and actually play Jeopardy. I think that would be sick. But obviously that's going to take time to do and stuff. But that's kind of what I was wanted to work on for the quiz. But yeah, the last 10 questions of the quiz tomorrow will be new questions, which I have written. Okay, so I will know that they are new questions, or my questions anyway, which won't be pathetic numbers. That it was really, you know what, it was so much fun on that quiz, but don't worry, you know. If 90k, I'll take huge longer. Yeah, I think, yeah, absolutely, 90k, that whole area, that was the main buy area if we go anywhere. Go to Jeb, Ethereum moon to 7,300, then 9k, then 11.5 no hype. Right, is that what it is? You just say random numbers which go up and up and up and say no hype. Okay, right. Yeah, I think that's what I think. Yeah, I think for my streams, I need, because they're pathetic titles. I'm not gonna lie. But I think we need to focus on doing some you know, shenanigans in the titles, like no hype, you know, full truth. You know, I definitely have a license type of thing. I had to put no hype. It's, you know, it's just cherry on top. It's just a mockery of what he said. But many traders are confused by the price of Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like I was wrong completely. I was so biased on the idea that we weren't going to have a new high and we're going to continue downwards and use our expansion downwards as resistance. But you know, at the end of the day, if I wasn't actually looking at the chart properly, and you know, there we are. So, but I think a lot of people were still talking about us continuing downwards. But that's what happens. It's like market has a massive dump and people continue that bandwagon until it reverses and people hop on the other bandwagon. It's always late jumpers, you know what I mean? We're waiting for alts, yeah. Ethereum likely on its way to run the prior all-time highs before a September pullback. I mean, yeah, I think I know I'm reading through all the chat. I want to read through all the chats. So that's why I know I'm 16 minutes. I will be very quick. Don't worry. I promise I'm gonna get to 1 hour. I will cut off no matter what. I'm gonna cut off myself to 1 hour. But yeah, I do want to look at the price. But how I've seen it, especially with us going to past this kind of local high. Especially on the higher time frame, having that uptrend, I do want to see where we're going. Yeah, I'll obviously we'll look at it in a second. So I will say a DC between now and so, but yeah. I'm just going to scroll quickly through the rest of this. That's pretty much a chat then. Price is still rotational with previous month's value. Rotational. I'm not that high tech, I'm not gonna lie. What I will do, I will go back onto Bitcoin, if needs be, but I do need to jump onto Ethereum. Otherwise, my promise won't be kept, and you guys will hate me. Okay, so 4,500. Wow. You know what? It's so far ago, I can't even get. Okay, there we go. That's better on the weekly. I just want to just draw a line just to see where it roughly is. Well, yeah, I mean, you know what I mean. It's pretty. It's kind of pretty clear cut. It's kind of crazy move. It's like it moves. It's like, okay, yes, we had this high, and then we just printed past all these lows, and it's like we have all these on the way down. It's like you would expect price to have a reversal, but to be fair, I mean, I guess it's like it wasn't really a move upwards and a move down. It was move upwards, new low, new move upwards, new low, I suppose. But even then, it's like it's still pretty crazy price action nonetheless. What I will do though, I do want to kind of hide some of this TA. I don't know what I have drawn. What's this trend line? Oh, I just drew this. What's this? Is this the new one I just drew? Yeah. What is this? Oh, it's in there. Okay. I think I must have looked at this already. Oh, that was just a high, wasn't it? Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, well, I'm deleting this. Okay. All right, there we go. Yeah, so I can pretty much leave that. I'm going to go to the daily and look at this. So what we had, obviously, we were like, oh, we're going to come down to this area. But the last stream or stream before, whatever it was, basically saying, I'll be very surprised if we don't see support in this area. Obviously, we have this range between these two candles with this massive expansion, midpoint being around 3,354, having a nice low here. I think we missed it by $2. But a pretty nice midpoint there for Ethereum, and then obviously we continue upwards. And again, this is the same thing with Bitcoin. It's like if just focusing on the actual expansion to move downwards. And yes, we did have this move downwards, but as I've already mentioned, you know, this is just hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? But yeah, obviously had this low, massively high low. And if we really just look at it on the daily, and yes, on the weekly, it's like we had this low and whatnot, and arguably is like, oh well, you know, we've had this like really meh move, and then we came past this high, there was a massive dump and came past all these lows, but yeah, I think if we were just to pay attention to, obviously on the weekly we have these new lows and these highs, but if we go to the daily as well, it's like, yes, we have this reversal, pretty nice. What I would say though is obviously this. I think I had this drawn, but I don't know where it's gone. I think I must have deleted it. In terms of the expansion or the retracement being to this area, obviously we've moved past this now. So anyway, we now need to watch it on the uptrend, regardless. Focus on this high. Yes, we've come past these highs here. These are actually pretty equal highs. Come past this, and it hasn't even done a thing to us on Ethereum. And really heavily focusing on that new high, and we're not even that far away from it realistically. And obviously on the 7 day we've moved 25%, 8%, like, you know, and it's not like we've moved up in a really pathetic manner. Like hold on, do you know what I mean? Like this, we have this. Let's do, I don't know, let's do a random color. Let's do black. I haven't done black in a while. Like if we go from the low to the high, if we follow this high until this retracement, like you can clearly see, like, whatever this high is going to be, let's say it's here, for example, you know what I mean? Like, we have this whole area below us coming into a support point, especially here with this. Let's just do like a blue or something. You know, we have support, plentiful support on this whole move upwards. And yes, on the 4 hour, it's like, okay, cool. Well, you know, we wouldn't want to see that. But even if we do it kind of into trend, it's like, okay, we draw this, we comes to this equilibrium pretty nicely. We didn't even spend any time coming into the other support point. We came to the midpoint of this gap between these two candles, came to the midpoint here, and then continued on upwards. Obviously, we did another low, higher low regardless, but we did another low. So we're continuing upwards right now. Come past these highs. It's not like we're doing some reversal or anything like this. We've recently done, obviously within the last 4 hours anyway, recently done these new candles, and we're coming upwards. So it's like, you know, okay, well, what we're going to focus on, well, this is the low, move upwards. I would probably even be looking at this, you know. Again, I don't think the support ain't that strong. To be fair though, with this, we do have a bit more, you know, very similar to what we talked about with that kind of cascading support on the way upwards. We have this support, and then that translates into support here, which obviously you can see roughly on the midpoint, and this is also now going to be a higher support point. So we do have something sitting in this range, which actually just about sits on this 4,258 area. So there's something of support. Again, if we go to the 1 hour, let's say, we have a plentiful reason for support here, especially with this gap, which we also kind of use, but we have this wick here, we have this support point. Even then, we have more support down here, but if we look at it on the daily anyway, to really give a higher trend, the low isn't anything of concern. Like, the low is nowhere near where we are. The low, like, we've been in a straight line upwards. So the actual major low of this trend anyway is 3,300. So it's like, I would not be concerned, even if you go to the 4 hour here in this case. I mean, yes, these are, you know, major low. Yes, we do have major low of 3,500. I would also say 4,150 would be a considerable low if we start to print past this. But again, we have these support areas, which could be very strong if we were to come down and start downtrend. Good reversal points, and on daily anyway, major support. So I wouldn't even consider it being a really difficult area. So, and it's not like we're a difficult stretch away from the all-time high. So I believe there's an all-time high. Yeah, I don't think I'm wrong there yet. So yeah, again, in terms of the idea of us continuing to go up towards aiming for all-time highs, absolutely. I'd be very interested to see to have the standard deviation. Now, what I will say about standard deviation is I forgot how to do it, because I did it once and then I was like, oh, how great is this? This is awesome. And then I haven't done it since, and I've forgotten. I think it was the move. What was it again? Well, you know what? No, I can't do that. What time is it? I've got 9 minutes. Okay, I'll do this very quickly. I'll spend. Okay, okay. How did we do this? Was it? I think it was the stretch between this. I think it was. I think. It was something like that. I can't. You know what? I'm not gonna do it. You know what? Next stream, I'll remember. I can't remember what I did. I found it. I was like, oh, let's try this. And then I tried it on Bitcoin, and it was pretty good. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. And now I've forgotten how to do it, but whatever. So again, Ethereum highs, absolutely. Solid. Where are we? What are we doing? Okay, 4 hour. So this is pretty good. Same. Again, it's all just hindsight. Same thing. We had this low, and this is kind of very similar to what we talked about. It's like, okay, yes, we have a gap, and we've come into it and used it. But we also have, and again, on the same topic of, oh, well, we still could use it in resistance. Same case for here for support. We do have a major low before a massive move upwards, and we still have, you know, potential area to come into if you consider this gap, for example. So obviously we've used that low. We've already talked about this, and we've just been on the way up. And again, hindsight. This gap was like, oh, guys, got to be careful. We're going to use this gap, and we're going to come to this area. We're going to find resistance 176. No, we didn't. Okay, idiot. No, we haven't. Support. And that's all I really have for here. Obviously, we have this high. We have this gap, which we use. This high is obviously probably going to be an interesting area, 195. But if we look at the daily, I had talked about this for a while. We talked about this on the way upwards. We obviously talked about these highs. I talked about the major high at 208, but ever since basically around, I think here, maybe somewhere around here, I was looking at this gap at a 222. So again, continuing upwards from what it seems like we're in this uptrend. We had this major low, or obviously major low being here, general move upwards, major high, major low here. Let's just go for the highs. Simple as $206. Let's go. I'm not going to bother looking at the 1 hour. Whatever. I need to go on. Ooh, I've got 7 minutes. You know, actually, let's not rush it. Okay, let's be civilized. So, I've already talked about this low. I've obviously talking about this high. Let's go to the 4 hour. I don't know what that is. Support. What is this? What is this? Oh, this is as I was talking about it, I think. I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be resistance, yeah. Thank you very much, me. Idiot. Jesus. Yeah, it's just, it's not really much to talk about. Not really much to talk about. Massive. I mean, this is going to be support. Once this continues upwards, this is going to be support. What I will do, actually, is I want to see this, because I don't think this is... Oh, wow, this is really... This is like, and I think in using retracements. I don't know if there's a measurement between magnitude of retracement and where you actually come to versus what it says about the current market's kind of volatility or velocity upwards. So what I mean by that is I should probably go back. I should probably backtest this and measure it just as an idea. It's something I've had in the back of my mind as like, could it be something as an idea in terms of, okay, if we have a deeper retracement versus a shallower retracement, what does that mean does that mean anything for the market? Is that something to focus on, or am I just seeing things? So I will, that's a question for not you guys. That's a question for me. So, anyways, whatever. I drew this. I just wanted to see the actual retracement. Obviously we had a teeny little gap over here with this little guy over here retracing downwards. We didn't really have much. We kind of had this candle, a bit of a support in this area, and yes, we kind of used it here. We had this, we kind of used it. We didn't really use. There's a lot of equal candles here, but again, this candle isn't going into anything important. So really, just focusing on these gaps here. And obviously, we did come to this area. We did some equal lows with this one, but the general gap is here. And obviously, we have come across and used that one, which is quite nice. We didn't really have many gaps here. I mean, we had this one. We used it. We didn't have anything here. We did have this candle, to be fair. Which I would have also looked at, which, to be fair, if you look at the low of it, we've printed within that support, but realistically, we had this gap, and we didn't have this gap. We've already completely come past that. So realistically, from the support, apart from, I mean, looking in this area, for example, we didn't really have much support. What I would say, though, is this would be support. I would say this would be support, this candle, because of, obviously, we are in an area of interest in terms of coming into this gap. We've come into it, and then we had the last candle before the move upwards, engulfing candle. So this would be support. We did find something in that low. As you can see, we formed this. We kind of came to the midpoint here, kind of, and then moved upwards. But that's all I would really look at in terms of that retracement. So it kind of makes sense why it would, for me, this retracement would either have been this small gap, or it would have been down towards 166. But again, good support. And we've had a massive expansion from this area. I'm going to delete all this crap. And really see, all I want to focus on right now is looking at this area and looking at this high up here. So daily potential block support, whatever you want to coin it, potential support there. And then realistically from that, I think it would just be watching for the general trend back downwards, realistically. I think obviously we've already looked at this. And again, I think it's like, yes, on the 4 hour, I can look at the downtrend, and we're in an uptrend, so we should have retracements. And yes, on the 4 hour, we are going to have that uptrend. But it's a lot easier for me to just look at the daily and look at this retracement and go, okay, cool. We came to this area. We had this gap, which I've just looked at. Came past this low. We whipped past it, came back into that gap. We hit this optimum area, and now we're coming upwards. So what should result from this is that we aim for the highs. So what do we have on the higher time frame, as we've already looked at? We have $220. And we have these highs at 206, this whole general area up here. So I would expect Solana to continue to push higher into that area. So that's what I will leave it off with. So 3 minutes. I'm going to look at SERP. Okay. SERP, again, the only thing I talked about correctly. Sui, yes. I think you asked me to look at Sui. What I'll do, SERP, I'm going to really quickly cover. It's just going to be an update on what I've already talked about, because it's the only thing I've actually got slightly right in any of this. So what I will talk about is obviously optimum area. We started to produce some of these highs here, whipped past them. Obviously printed at this 52 cent area, and now we've come down. We've printed past these lows, and we've had this decent expansion downwards. It doesn't necessarily mean we have a move down or anything, but if we look at the higher time frame. Obviously, I've made this mistake. I'm looking at the higher time frame and taking major, actually looking at it. And we had this, we are in this move down so far, printed past this with these candle bodies. We have this move down. We found this resistance, and now we're aiming downwards. And yes, I'm not going to make the mistake of saying, oh, we're going to find support in this area and come upwards. What I will say is that I would expect a bit of a move downwards in the market. Is what I will say for SERP. I will expect us to start to continue back downwards in this general trend. So that is what I have for SERP, and what that should expect. If we expect a downtrend on the higher time frame and the 4 hour and whatnot, it would be for me to watch these retracements, probably coming back up towards this area at 51 cent. If we look at this though, this tiny little gap here, we could potentially see something within that nearly 51 cent exactly. So continuing that potential downwards, move for syrup. So I could potentially see a bit more downwards for syrup, but like things move differently. Do you know what I mean? Like, everything had that pump up. Syrup's already had that move upwards, and we have started these down closed candles. So the market moves in different ways, is what I will say. So yeah, I think syrup will continue downwards in this downtrend. What we should expect anyway is to aim for lows. But I do want to watch it as we continue anyway. So would want to aim for about 40 cent again, but again, it's not like it's going to teleport down there in the next 2 days. So we will obviously look at this on Thursday, and I'll give it a bit more detail because again, I've got 47 seconds, and I want to quickly glance at syrup. Oh, Sui, sorry. I think I looked at it. I can't remember what I said, and whatever I've looked at is probably going to be wrong considering my bias. So what did I look at? Let's see. This is not bad. This isn't bad, TA. Right, what did I look at? I looked at it on Tuesday. This isn't that bad, TA. I think. Where are we? What is this? I think I had. See, this is the problem with looking at so many lines. Okay, let me hide this. Okay, so I think what I talked about was we had this move upwards, and now we've had a low, a high, coming into a higher time frame point of interest, as we talked about. We talked about the weekly high, and I know it's just hit an hour. I'm going to end it in 30 seconds, I promise. I just wanted to talk about Tafiki's, hopefully I got your name right, request. So I did talk about this. I think it must have been Thursday, right? So I did look at this in terms of the weekly resistance we had, these highs here. I did talk about the reversal potential in terms of us coming past this low, coming into this gap, could potentially see resistance in this move here. But I mean, realistically though, even though I'm a negative Nancy, on the weekly, it just looks like we've seen a bit of support here. So in terms of seeing that resistance, obviously we did have a bit of a pile up here, especially we had this massive gap here. We've had these print past these lows, but in saying that, I'm not going to be too negative, and I've already made this mistake. I'm not going to be too negative because we have seen that low here. And again, what I will say, we've had this downtrend, we've had this retracement into this high, and yes, we have had a bit of a retracement downwards, but we had this expansion upwards to hit here, and we found a midpoint. So what I will say is, the question was, well, I'm not sure why Sui is still under 4. Any thoughts? Hoping to get to 5. So the reason why I think it's still under 4 is because of this. So as I talked about on Thursday, we have major resistance here, especially this gap here. We had this massive expansion. We have this candle, which engulfs, and then we found resistance. So I did talk about this main area, and we can see, as we've come into it, we've had this major usage of this resistance, and then came down and printed lower here. What could the potential be? Well, we can see the expansion's already kind of come past this. What I want to say is, personally, could we see reversal? I think so. And if we look at the higher time frame, even like on the daily, it's like, okay, we have all this negativity. I'm going to make a quick group here to hide it. And yes, we had this high here. We had this reversal in terms of this move where we should expect lower. But what I will draw is major low to major high. We've only just about seen this low. So I could expect it. I don't want to be against bias or anything, but if this is kind of the general idea in terms of we've had this move, we had this high, we had these highs take this, we had expansion downwards coming past this, and then we had this right shoulder where we've had this expansion, we've come back into roughly the midpoint. Obviously we've already drawn this, we've come into this optimum area, and now we could potentially reverse a bit more. But what I will say, although, is we are in a general uptrend. We've technically printed past these highs. We are in this move, and it looks like to me we have had a bit of a reversal here. We could come a bit deeper towards some of these cents down here, but I think long term, and this is the key moment here, this is the key phrase, long term, I think we will go higher than 4.5 cents. Or $4.5, sorry. That's it. I promise you. I'm done. No, you won't. No, Tariq, don't worry. I've not gone 15 minutes over. That's it. That's all I will say about Suri is I think long term we're still going to head towards $4.50. So the reason why I think we're below $4 on the lower time frame is because that resistance we talked about on Thursday. But I wouldn't worry about it because I think long term, in terms of what we have, general, I think we're going to see above $4.50. I'm done. I promise. I'm done. That's it. Okay. Not bad. All right, I was like 3 minutes. I think I started shooting maybe 3 minutes later. So 3 minutes past 10. I don't think that's that bad. So, what I will leave off with, my closing remarks with the stream is, I don't mind us going upwards. I'm pretty happy. But I'm going to focus more on tomorrow because, again, we are back tomorrow, as you guys will probably know. We have the quiz. Tomorrow, I'm writing the last 10 questions. So, what I will promise about the quiz tomorrow, all I can promise for sure, is that the last 10 questions will be good. Now, I don't know what the rest of the questions are. I don't know if they're going to be of the same horrible quality we had last stream. But, the last 10 questions will be good. It'll be Jeopardy style, so obviously bring your maple information. Bring your brains along with you, and it'll be fun. That's all I can promise, is that it'll be fun on a Wednesday. And obviously, as we're not going to do it in the office, so it's going to be me on the screen again, and Michael will be in the background, but he'll still be talking and taking part. But I will also be back on Thursday for another stream. So for some of the things I've talked about, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and Sui, Syrup, all this sort of stuff, I will give another update. I will give another update on all the coins Thursday and my opinions. And what I will say though is Syrup. Obviously, we looked at Sui here, and I've obviously given my kind of a bit more set in stone opinions on everything. What we'll say about Syrup though is I do want to see how it's going on Thursday to see if it properly starting that downtrend. So I know BB, you've just said basically one of the most downtrend coins is Syrup. I think we could be starting it, but what I will say is leave it with me till Wednesday and Thursday, and I will recover it on Thursday, and I'll give a bit more of a locked-in response, because I want to see it. I want to wait for the optimum conditions, if you will. But I think from what we've done so far, I could see a bit more of a move down for Syrup. But this thing is like, we had that massive move downwards, and then we've been coming up since. So, you know what I mean? It's all relative, I suppose. Things have only just started to come upwards. Things have only just started to pump. Syrup's already been coming upwards, so it's all relative if you look at it. But I'm not worried long term for Syrup. I haven't done on Syrup. I haven't looked at the weekly, like high time. I haven't looked really high time on Syrup. So I'll do that on Thursday. I will look at it high time frame. Is this your questions, Mike? No. Okay. What I will say though is he reused the exact same quiz we did like a month ago. So he brought it upon himself that he didn't, what's the word? He didn't actually bother checking the questions or anything. So, do you know what I mean? Yeah, but I can't do much more. Okay, I know I've kept you guys for 6 minutes. All right, that is it from me. Thank you, all of you, so much for joining the quiz. Oh, not the quiz. I will see you in the quiz, but thank you for joining the stream. And I will see you guys next stream for the quiz, and obviously see you Thursday for the next chart stream. That's it. I'm trying to think. I'll have some updates of the quiz itself, the actual program. I could try and do. I want to like cobble together a bit of a UI, because I really want to make a Jeopardy style UI for the questions. I will not promise that for tomorrow, but I'll try. So you might see a cool little Jeopardy style quiz, last 10 questions tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. So thank you. Well, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure for you to be here as well. Thank you, BB, for being here. And I will be back with Syrup Thursday, and I'll be back tomorrow. Do join the quiz. Quiz is great. But that is it. I have kept you guys. Thank you so much. See you Wednesday. See you in Telegram. See you everything. Goodbye.